Hi guys, it's Shannon and welcome back to my channel. I really hope everyone that watched my last video enjoyed it. In today's video I'm going to be doing what 2019 taught me, and you better believe it taught me quite a lot. So this video might be a little bit rambly just because obviously it is going to be involving a lot of talking. I've made points but I don't want to structure it too much because I want what I'm saying to come from the heart, if that makes sense. I am definitely not the person I was starting this year. This year has been so many emotions, my brain's just gone. 2019, you've honestly been the most incredible yet challenging year for me. I've never had a year where I've grew so much. This year I've really started to find myself and my passions and what's important to me and stand up for myself, which in the previous years that's something I've never really been able to do. So without further ado, if you want to know what I learned from 2019, let's get straight into the video. I moved into my own home this year. Back in January I got the keys, I moved in February, and in April I gave birth. This year for me feels like several different years all mixed together because so much happened. One of the main things that I have learnt this year is not everyone has the same heart as you. I've had a really big struggle all my life kind of not understanding why people don't have pure intentions. I've always wanted to see the best in people, and I think sometimes that's kind of backfired because I've assumed that everyone has the same thoughts as I do and the same intentions, and that's not the case. We're all different people. Sometimes they just don't, and unfortunately some people don't have good intentions for you and they do want to see you fail. I couldn't quite comprehend that because I've always wanted to see people do better, but unfortunately that's just how the world works, and I can't stay in a place anymore where I see it's good to see the best in people, but when someone's constantly doing you wrong and hurting you, not learning from it, you kind of feel like you're going insane because it's just a cycle repeating itself and repeating itself. I feel like if a situation keeps happening to you over and over and over again and you know nothing's changing, it's because it's trying to teach you something and you've not learned the lesson you were supposed to learn the first time. So until you learn that, it's just going to keep happening and happening and happening. That has been a big lesson for me because I was always the person that was like, well, why does this keep happening to me? But I was never learning from it. I was constantly doing the same mistakes and repeating the same actions, wondering why I was getting the same outcome. I was almost naive to the way that the world works, thinking that everyone wants to see everyone succeed and it would be a really, really nice place to live in. But that's just not how it happened. Sorry Magpie, not the best on January the 1st. I was almost in a little bubble of my own and I was like, yep, they want the best for me. I was trying to justify people's actions. It's nice to think about it from someone else's point of view. That's a really like selfless thing to do. Even if the situation's hurting you, you think about it from their point of view. That's a really like mature mindset. But there's a certain point where you have to walk away from certain situations that's hurting you. Let me give you an example. Even in previous relationships I was telling myself maybe they've gone through a lot and that's why they're acting like this. But it doesn't matter what someone's gone through, it does not give them a reason to treat you like crap. I understand sometimes it might be difficult for them to express how they feel and sometimes they might accidentally take it out on you, but if it's repetitive and nothing's changing, do yourself a favour and please walk away from that, because although it's been the hardest thing I've had to learn, it's so true. You don't deserve to stay in a state of mind where someone isn't happy with themselves so they take it out on you. Honestly, that is all that they're doing. But you deserve better and you can't grow from that. The way that I've learned to protect myself through this is I've learned to not give too much of myself away. I'm quite an open person, but I've realised I've kind of been too open. And I'm so quick to show people my weaknesses like straight off the bat. I don't have that filter, and I think that's a good thing because it shows my personality. But there's a certain point where you have to go like, look now, stop, you're oversharing and that's personal information you don't need to tell everyone, and take a step back. I owe nobody any explanation. I felt like I owed everyone an explanation on everything I did because I wasn't sure that I was doing the right thing, and I'm so sick of feeling unsure of myself. I know who I am and I don't owe anyone anything. And I think when you get to this point in life, that's when you really start growing because you don't rely on others' opinions on how to dictate your life. And that's such an important lesson because when you're living in someone else's shadow or someone else's opinions, you kind of lose sight of who you are, and that's really sad. And unfortunately, when you do give too much away, often when you give too much to the wrong person, and I'm not saying don't trust anyone because that's the wrong thing, but when you assume that everyone has the same heart as you, you kind of tell everyone everything, and a lot of the time your weaknesses get used against you, and that's something I found really hard to deal with. When you open up to someone and you think you can trust them, you kind of get everything you've trusted them with thrown back in your face or used against you. I think that's one of the saddest things, because you've put time and effort into trusting that person and wanting the best outcome, and it's not always worked out like that. I need water, my throat is like, I'm just talking away. Something that I have found lately that really helps deal with not oversharing is writing things down. And there's just some things in life that we can't constantly keep telling people, because sometimes they just don't get it, and that stresses us out, and it stresses them out because we're kind of angry that they don't understand. But the truth is, no one is going to understand your story like you. And I've really learned to appreciate myself more. Instead of going to other people for advice, sometimes all you need to do is look at yourself and you already have the answers. So writing them down, or anything creative, a creative outlet, is so good, because you're not telling everyone everything, you still got that bit to yourself. If you need to talk to someone, feel free, but if it's not helping, like it wasn't for me in most scenarios, it's time to take a step back and go, right, how can I help myself? I'm relying too much on the external rather than the internal. For most of you, you already know this, but I also struggle really badly with anxiety and depression and some other things. My moods can change like that, I'm not going to lie to you. I can be happy one minute and crying the next, and I understand that's not really healthy, and that it's something I'm working on, but it's not something I've got to a point where I feel like I'm quite done yet. I'm getting there and it's more stable, but it's not to the point where I feel like it's at a good place. I found that writing things down is really helpful, because when you tell someone something sometimes and your moods change as quick as mine do, people are like, is this person okay? And I am okay, I'm just having a bit of a meltdown. Where someone else can brush it off, I've told someone I'm sad, and then the next minute I've told someone I'm happy, and they're like, well, which one is she? I think that's why sometimes writing and looking to yourself for answers is the best thing to do, because it can really help you progress. Not only in day-to-day life, but mentally as well. I feel like that's a really good thing to look at and go, look, I've mentally grown up. As cringy as it sounds, you know that you're enough and you can look to yourself for answers. Sorry if you've slightly moved. Another thing that I've learned is to believe in the law of attraction. This is going to be a really controversial one, because I know a lot of people like look at it and they think, oh, you've got different beliefs, and that's absolutely fine. But I've noticed the minute I started believing in the law of attraction, it's worked. So many things this year has fell into place. Even bad things I've kind of manifested in a way. All the way through my pregnancy, I told myself I was going to get a house in February. I got the keys in January, I moved in February. The morning that my house came up on the housing list, I turned around to myself and I was like, I've got a good feeling about this list. I've got a good feeling. And houses had not been on the list for weeks in the area that I wanted, especially not the amount of bedrooms that I needed. I needed 2. I had this really good feeling, and I went on the housing list and a house was there. And at the same time I applied for the house, I got moved up in bands. And you'll be able to see this in one of my previous videos that I filmed that was like this time last year. So that's really exciting that I kind of did that. But another thing that I also feel like I kind of manifested, which was negative. Some people say it's coincidence, but I kind of don't believe in coincidences. All the way through my pregnancy, I was like, I feel like I'm going to go into early labour. I feel like I'm going to go into early labour at 32 weeks. I literally said 32 weeks, and everyone that knows me knows I said this specific number. And at 32 weeks, I went into early labour. Thank everything that I did not have him and they managed to stop it. But literally all the way through I was like, I'm going to go into early labour, I'm going to go into early labour, and then it happened. And some of you are going to say that is just coincidence, but that is something that I realised that I can't be putting certain stuff out into the universe, because it is going to come back to me. So I need to put out positive stuff. It's a bit like a boomerang, what you put out you get back. And I've realised that taking this into 2020, I need to put out as much positive energy as I want to get back, and that's really important to me. And also giving the right people the right energy. So if someone doesn't deserve my time, stop wasting it on them. I've been so naive to give the wrong people my time and the right people not enough, and I feel really bad for that, but it's something that I've had to go through to grow through. I used to live in this mindset where I thought the people that did wrong in life got the most out of it, and the only way I can explain it is, you know, when you're back at school and you see people messing about in lessons, so they get took out of lessons. I looked at that and I was like, well, they don't have to do work anymore. How lucky are they? And they did the bad thing. But the people that actually sat in the classroom and kept working for what they wanted probably got the most. My state of mind told myself that the people that didn't try and didn't push for what they wanted got the most out of life. That mindset is so toxic and deteriorating to your mental health that I'm really glad that's something that I've learned from. Another thing that I've learned is it's okay to feel like you're falling apart. That doesn't mean that your world has to come crashing down. It can just be something that happens sometimes, and that's okay. With me struggling with mental illness, something that I do is I overanalyze a lot, and I think the minute something goes wrong, my entire world has come crashing down. For example, I could be in a relationship and it could end. Rather than have quite a reasonable reaction where I'm like, right, I'm really upset but I'm going to get through this, sometimes I let it get to me a bit too much, and in the past I've been like, if I haven't got them, there's really no point even being here. And I do struggle with depression and I do have negative thoughts, but that's not the way to live. You shouldn't be living for someone else, and sometimes we kind of have to if we don't see our own worth. But when you get to that point where you see your own worth, you'll never let anyone take it away from you. If someone doesn't want you, or if someone has to leave you behind and move on with their life, don't look at it as a loss. Take what you can and learn from the situation. You've probably done things wrong, they've probably done things wrong, or things you could have done better, things they could have done better. Learn from it and let it help you later on in life. Don't look at something and with regret. I found that's a big thing. I don't tend to regret things. I think that everything does happen for a reason, and I'm a big believer in that. With me struggling with negative thoughts and depression, it's so easy to get these thoughts in your head and want to act on them, but it's so important that you don't do that. Even to this year, I've lost sight of things and felt like the world would be better off without me. And even with having a baby, I've still felt like that, and that's like quite hard to admit. I've been to the doctors and I've said, look, I don't feel like I'm good enough, I don't feel like I'm a good enough mum, and I honestly don't know what to do. Everyone's like, yeah but Shannon, you're doing it, your baby's happy, this, that, and I don't feel that way anymore, but I did, and I felt like I wasn't good enough for my son. But I looked at the bigger picture and I was like, I've gave him everything I possibly could have. I've gave him a house that I didn't have, I've gave him a life, I leave the house more, I make effort to make plans with people so he's not stuck in one environment. I've done all these things, and I'm so quick to criticise myself and tell myself all the little things that I haven't done, but he's happy and I'm happy that he's happy. And sometimes I just lose sight of this, and it's so crazy, and all these thoughts are going in my head, but it's okay. It's okay to have bad days. It doesn't mean that your world's falling apart. You could have a bad week and you're still going to get through it. Another thing that I have learnt from is I was living in victim mentality and mindset, and that's quite toxic. In the past I have been a victim in situations, and I'm not going to really get into them, but they have really now that they've shaped me, but they still affect me, and they're still always in the back of my head. You know, I've been in abusive relationships, some mental and some physical, not to the extreme of physicalities, but enough to like mentally damage you. Then I took that on board, that I was the one, how can this happen to me? And that's not a way to live. It's important that you heal and grow from these things and you face the reality, not avoid it. A lot of people avoid how they're actually feeling and they mask it up with relationships, drugs, alcohol, even one night stands, and they just keep going and going and going. They're creating these unhealthy habits, and at the end of the day they're not dealing with what's really hurting them. And it's really important that we take a step back and go, look, this is really affecting me and I need help for it, or I need to help myself for it. I was so quick to point out to everyone the negative situations in my life. So I've had therapy on and off from being 13. So you can imagine that I've had to tell like quite a lot of therapists the life story, and they always want to hear the negatives. What happened? How did that make you feel? So I was so quick to point out what happened when I was 5, 7, 9. I kind of got this rehearsed story because I was telling that many therapists my life story, and I lost sight of all the amazing things that happened. It wasn't even the fact that I was not telling them on purpose. I literally just completely forgot them. I forgot that they ever existed, and that's like really sad. Like, I went on a cruise when I was younger and that didn't even enter my head for a few years, like how lucky I was. And I really was. I didn't know, but I was kind of like a glass half empty rather than a glass half full type of person, and that was never my intention, but that's just how it happened. So self-growth and changing your mindset is really important, and now I'm taking the time to work on myself and look through my past and go, you know what, Shannon, look at pictures and really try and think about all the positives, because they are in my subconscious, but I've like lost track of them and I can't remember half of them. And it's not until like a family member says, Jumbo, we did this or this, that it only comes to my brain. And I really need to spend a few hours where I'm not on social media, I'm not doing anything. I'll just sit down with photos and everything from my past and go, this is actually the life you had. It's not all negative, and you can grow from this and you can heal. Another thing is, not everyone is going to understand you in life, and that is something that it still upsets me, but I have learned. Like I said earlier, no one is going to understand you like you. And no matter sometimes how many times you try and get it through to someone how you're feeling, sometimes they're just not going to understand. As frustrating as it is, you can't get mad at them for not understanding you, because they're not you. You're your own person. I know if you're like me, you're the person that can kind of put yourself in other people's shoes, but some people just can't do that. They can't do that unless they've been through it, and it's not a personality trait that we all share. And if you can't get through to someone how you feel it, honestly, creative outlets are the best. Drawing, writing, singing, writing songs, anything you can possibly do, making YouTube videos, to express how you feel to yourself or to other people really does help that. Another thing that I have learned in 2019 is there is no love like your baby. There is no love like the love you have for your kids. I had my little boy this year, and honestly I couldn't even tell you how much love I have for him. It's crazy. Cody is my biggest blessing, and I would not be here without him today. Another one is, not everyone you lose is a loss. I used to think if someone went out your life, you wasn't good enough, and that's not the case, and I don't believe that for a second anymore. Sometimes people just grow apart, or they need to take different paths, and I was the person that was like, they really don't care if they never see me again. And I was that person. Like, it really affected me mentally. I was like, they're alright with never seeing me in this life again, and I'm not alright with that. And I took it really personal, but sometimes it's more about them than it is you. And if someone's toxic, it doesn't matter how much they've done good in your life, you need to get them out of your life. If it's a family member, or you need to take a step back, put a barrier up, or build boundaries, or take a step back. If it's not someone, you can just get out your life. And if you're living with someone like that and you're in a situation where you can't get out of that, just take as much time away from that person so you can kind of remember who you are. I stayed in contact with a lot of my exes that had done me wrong over the years. I let them time and time again treat me like crap, and I'm going to get a little bit sad about this, because I was going back for validation off them, and I didn't want them back, but I was constantly wanting their approval, to know that I was doing well, to know that I was succeeding. When I got my house, a few of my exes that had done me quite wrong messaged me and go, I'm so proud of you, look how far you've come a long way. And I thought, thank you, but it shouldn't take me moving into my house or having a baby for you to see that. You should have seen the person I was back then. I have come a long way, but they didn't appreciate me back then, so appreciate me now is kind of half-hearted. And I do believe in forgiving. I'm not the type of person that can forget, and I think if you know someone will continuously hurt you or be a toxic person in your life, then they're not worth letting back in. Moving forward and moving on is completely different, but if they're constantly toxic, it is time to let go. Learning to love yourself is something that I'm still working on, but I'm getting there. All my life I've been so focused on finding a relationship, and everyone around me has been able to see this but me. And whoever you are, if you know me in real life, you'll probably agree 100% with what I'm about to say. I looked for validation off relationship. I've never really got over my first breakup, and that's not that I missed the person, but I never really dealt with it. I just jumped into another relationship and so on. I have had quite a lot of relationships, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, and I don't think that was healthy at all, because now I'm still left picking up the pieces from right back when I was like 15 and I had my first breakup, and then since then I've just been in from relationship to relationship to relationship, and that's so unhealthy. You get to a point where you're like, who am I without someone else? And that's when your self-worth just goes, and you are your own person. You just haven't had the time to find who you are. And I'm at a point now where I am still in contact with my ex, and I wouldn't mind sorting things out, but if we don't sort things out, it's not the end of the world, and I don't feel the need to get Tinder. I used to be that person that literally a day or a week after we broke up, after they left me, I'd get Tinder. And that wasn't because I didn't love them or care for them, because I wasn't over them, but I was constantly seeking someone else, and this was way before I had my baby. And I realised that I am enough, and I don't need someone to sit and tell me I am enough. I used to be so affected by other people view me, and even the other day I've had a comment on my Instagram, someone laughing at one of my pictures, and rather than let it affect me, I didn't even get upset about it. I deleted the comment and moved on with my day, because you know what? It didn't affect me, and that even 2 months ago would have probably made me cry. Now I'm just like, who are you to judge me? And if your life's probably not perfect, so who are you to come to my space and judge me? Because I'm my own person, and I've grew up a lot, and if anyone has anything against me from when I was younger, just know I'm not that person anymore. And it's so childish really to keep a vendetta against someone when they're not who they used to be. 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line, we're not the same person. And another thing that I've learned is to be more spiritual. I, like I said earlier, believe in the law of attraction, and I've got really into like tarot card readings and stuff. It's just my way of feeling like there's hope, and some people do that through God, some people do that through any situation, any religion that you believe in. Kind of like spirituality and law of attraction is mine, and I'm a really big believer in crystals and stuff like that, and that's something I really want to get more into. A big YouTuber that I've been loving right now, and she actually replied to me on Instagram the other day, which I was like fangirled about, was Vanessa Samina, and she does card readings here on YouTube. She just hit 100k. So proud of her, and she's doing incredible, and she's such a beautiful person. You can just tell the type of person she is by the way she speaks, and I love that. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned from 2019, and something that I found really hard to deal with, was the fact that I didn't have the ideal family. I'm still probably going to get emotional about this because I'm so proud of myself of how far I've come. I couldn't quite comprehend that me and Cody, a mum and a baby, is a family. And I know that sounds really sad, because I look at anybody else in that situation as a family, but for myself, in my head, I got this vision of installed in you in society that a mum, dad and a baby is a family. A mum and a baby isn't, and that's what was in my head. Like, single mum, the connotation attached to that is depressed and sad, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I'm so angry at society for how they've put that out, because it's not as sad as you think it is. And I wasn't looking for someone to be Cody's dad, but I was looking for someone to be there, because I thought 3 was a family. I felt like 2 was incomplete. I didn't feel good enough as a mum or as a person. You know, Cody's dad left me when we found out he left just before I found out I was pregnant. Said he didn't want anything to do with Cody. Then he got back with his ex. They had 2 kids together. You know, he saw them and he didn't see Cody, and he didn't want anything to do with Cody. And I think that's what hurt the most. It wasn't, I like didn't have any romantic feelings for him the minute he left and told me that he didn't want this baby, because he knew how I felt personally about having an abortion. But I felt so sorry for Cody that he picked and chose between his kids and singled Cody out, and that kind of broke me a little bit, because I felt like it was me. Then I looked at me and I was like, what have I done? What has made him not want a relationship with Cody? What have I done this? Because he's never met Cody. So I thought the problem has to be me, and I was looking into myself, questioning every day, every night what I'd done wrong, what I could have done differently, just to make him have a relationship with his son. I did nothing wrong to him. You know, when we were together, I stayed with him, I went to work with him. When he wanted me to, I let him sleep at my house. His sister over, I lent him money. I even bought him Easter eggs for his kids, because he couldn't afford it. Everything got through back in my face. His best friend did me really wrong that I'll not even go into. Still got it thrown back in my face, and I kind of thought, what is it about me that makes me not good enough? And it made me even sadder that in the past he'd been with someone else and raised their kids, and he couldn't even raise his own. And I was so frustrated, and I'm so mad that I put blame on me, honestly. I don't know why I did that, but that's really sad. Sorry for that little break. My little bedhead needed a cuddle. Think you? Yeah. And he needs a bath. He's a little bit messy, but I'm going to bath him after I've finished filming. He's just woken up. But yeah, it really affected me as a person, and I put so much blame on myself. And the truth of the matter is, I've done it all myself, and I didn't feel good enough. And you know what? I'm the one that fought to get the house, that fought to get where I am, that went to all my appointments and had Cody and made an effort and gave him this life, and he's a happy baby. And I'm usually the first person to put myself down, but for the first time I can honestly say I am proud of how far I've come, and I genuinely mean that. My own home, my baby, and I've done it all myself. No one's done it for me, and I pretty much have Cody 24/7, you know. He sees my nan sometimes without me being there, but it's like a handful of times. I've done everything else on my own. He's never really been away from me other than that, and he's been away from me once overnight, and he's almost 9 months now. My mental health's improved, my overall happiness has improved, and you know, I'm so proud. I really did grow up this year. So thank you so much to everyone that's been a part of my 2019, everyone that subscribed, followed me on Instagram, and here is to 2020. I hope this video has taught you a few things and you got to know more about me. Overall, you just realise that I'm heading in the right direction, and you've seen my mindset towards things now, and I can't wait to see what 2020 brings. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I love you all so much, and until next time, bye guys, love you.